Hello everyone, good evening. Welcome to the last workshop of Java development with Spring Boot. Okay, let's wait for 2 minutes. Then we shall begin for our last session, that is Spring Boot and Hibernate with Java development. Okay. Okay, so let's not waste any more time. Let's continue with our last session. Okay, so going to recap our last session. Let me open the NetBeans ID. We can recap our last session. It is taking some time to open. Um, okay, it is open now. So we can open our advanced Java, that is inside web pages and source packages. Then within this we have our readme file. So in the last session we have talked about what are JSP. That is from here. We have talked about what is JSP and what is the architecture of JSP. Then the difference between static content and dynamic content. Then what are JSP syntax? That are four types of syntax. That is scriptlet, output, declaration, and directives. Then we learned about JSP implicit objects, the objects that are created implicit within the JSP and we don't have to create it manually. That are request, response, session, application for servlet context, config for servlet config, out for JSP writer, not get writer. Okay, then page context for single page and exception for error handling. Okay. Then we learned about MVC architecture, that is model, view, and controller. And we compared our project with the DAO layer, that is the model. Then the JSP is the view of our project, and the servlet is the controller. Okay. So till now we have learned so far, and today we will come towards Spring Boot and Hibernate. Okay. So what is Spring Boot? Spring Boot is a framework that makes it easy to create standalone production Spring application with minimal configuration. Okay, Spring Boot is a framework that makes it easy to create standalone production-ready Spring applications with minimal configuration. So why should you use Spring Boot? Because Spring Boot has auto configuration. That is, we don't have to make any manual setup. Then what comes next? Spring Boot contains the embedded servers. Okay, so you can see here while installing the NetBeans, we have installed the Tomcat and Glassfish separately. Okay, so when you click here, okay, here when you expand the libraries option, you can see here there is Apache Tomcat. This is a server. Okay, this is a web server, and we have installed it externally. But in Spring Boot, the server comes with embedded Spring. Okay, then what comes? Then Spring Boot has simplified dependency management. Okay, so what is that? We can use it the Spring Boot starter dependency to simplify the dependency management. Okay, and it is also microservice friendly architecture. Okay, so there is a IDE from Spring that's called Spring Tool Suite that is used for mainly Spring development. You can use any IDE, Eclipse, NetBeans, or IntelliJ as you wish. but I will tell you how to use Spring Tool Suite as it is a very good ID for Spring development. So open any browser and search for STS download. So as you can see here in the first link, we are getting Spring Tools. Click here and just scroll for down. It is showing for Spring Tools for Eclipse. So click on the downloads according to your operating system. Mine is Windows, so click on Windows and you can save the zip file. And as I already saved it, so I'm canceling it. Now how to extract it? So you can now open the file. Let me open it. So here is my zip file. Okay, here is the zip file. You can unzip this file particularly, and in this file you will get Spring Tool Suite 4.exe. This is the application of Spring Tool Suite. Okay, you can directly open it from here. So I'm opening it from here. This is my Spring Tool Suite. It is taking some time to open. Okay, so now it has opened. Let me close every other projects. Okay, there should be a close option. Okay, close project. Okay, so let's create a new project or click on file, then click on new, and then, okay, click on file, click on new, then we have to click on Spring Starter project. Okay, this is not a Java project nor a Maven project. We have to click on Spring Starter project. Okay, so click on Spring Starter project. So after clicking, you can see that the service URL is start.spring.io. Okay, so even you don't have this ID, you can create a Spring project by going to this website. Okay, how? Let me show you. So you can copy this, or instead you can just type in the browser. You can type start.spring.io. Okay, then it will take you to the website and it will ask you for the project details. So I am using Maven, not Gradle, for my build management, and the language is Java. The Spring Boot is 3.5.6, no snapshot version, and the group name, it is the company name. Let it be comrade example. The name, let it be demo, and description, let it be same. Package name is comrade example.demo. So you can see that the package name is the combination of group ID, that is com.example, and the artifact ID, that is demo. Okay. So now the packaging is jar, not var. I want it to be Java archive, and the Java version I am using is 21. Okay. Or I think it is 25. The LTS I have downloaded, it is 25 maybe. Let me just check it once more. So open CMD, type Java hyphen version. So you can see that this is Java 25. So this is LTN version. So we can select here Java 25. Okay. And here in the dependency section, we can add one dependency, that is Spring Web. You can select here and click on Spring Web. Okay, as we will need this Spring Web for web application, and you can see that it is used for building web, including RESTful applications using Spring MVC or Model View Controller. Then it uses Apache Tomcat as the default embedded container. So as I told you, the Spring Boot contains embedded servers. You can see that the Apache Tomcat server is an embedded default container. Okay, so you can click on generate, it will give you a zip file, then you can unzip it in any ID. Okay, so I am not creating here, I am creating within my ID. So my name is Octanet Spring Java. Okay, so the artifact ID is this, and the group ID is, let it be my name. Okay, demo project for Spring Boot for Octanet. Okay, so let it be like this. The package is this, the combination of group ID and artifact ID. Okay, so let's create on next. Okay, now I have to click on for the dependencies. Okay, so what is my dependencies? The first is web, because I am creating a web application. So I can click search for web, and here this is the Spring Web. I can click here. Then I will need a database connection also. So for database connection, I need MySQL driver, just like the jar file connector. Here is the MySQL driver. So I can search for MySQL. Then here is the MySQL driver. And Do we need any more thing? So we can search for Spring Data JPA. So this is the main thing for connecting with our Hibernate. Okay, so this is for Spring Data JPA. Okay, now we can click on next. Okay, now we click on next. Or okay, let it me uncheck this because it will ask for configuration now. Let's me uncheck this and uncheck this. For now, let's learn about Spring Web. So just click next and click on finish. So you can see here an Octane Spring Java has been created a project. You can expand it and see it here. Here we got the source file, and here we have the pom.xml file. What is pom.xml? Okay, let it be loaded. Okay, let it be loaded first, then we will check it. Let's wait for 2 to 3 minutes. Okay, let it be work in the background. So can we see the source file then? Okay, the operation is going on. User operation is waiting. We cannot do any further things. So it will take some time, I think. Let's wait for some time then. Okay, so the project is finally open. So you can see here. Here is the source main Java file. And let me expand everything. Okay, so we don't need the test files as it is test. Then we don't need the library, the Maven dependencies. It will be reloaded automatically. And in the source file, we don't need the source file. Okay, so let me explain you everything one by one. Okay, let's close this. So what is source main Java? In this folder, we will have our course. Okay, we will have our code here. And here, this is a package com.lucky.spring. This is my group ID, and the Spring is the default. As within this, we have our Java main class. Okay, so you can see here, this is the main base code for our Java application, for our Spring application servlet. And you can see that there is a main method. Within this, we have a function, a static method, that is Spring application, which is imported from org.spring framework, and it has a run method, that is Octane Spring Java application dot class. Okay, takes the arguments as args. So this is the main class, and we don't have to make any kind of changes within this class. Okay, so and this is source main resources class. This is the class where we put all the resources, and we have 3 files here. This is JavaScript file if you want. And in the templates file, we create the HTML file or the theme files for the views. And this is the application.properties. Okay, this is the properties configuration for our application, and we can make all the property changes here. Okay, then there comes the pom.xml file. What is pom.xml? Pom.xml is used for our dependencies. Okay, so here we can see that we have the dependencies as in the dependencies tag. We have one dependency as Spring Boot Starter Web. We just clicked on while creating the project. Then it is for the test. This dependency is for testing, and this is the plugins. Okay, so we have currently 2 dependencies. One is for testing, and another is for web. Okay, so now let's try running this. Okay, let's try running this. How to run this? Just click on the project and right click, then click and run as, then we will run it as Spring Boot app. Okay, click on Spring Boot app. So you can see here in the console it is running. So it is saying that web server failed to start. Port 8080 was already in use. Yes, indeed, because my Oracle is currently using my 8080 port. So let's change the port. Now, how to change the port? I told you if I need to change any kind of properties, then we can go to the properties file. That is, click on properties, and we can type here server dot port is equals to, let's say, 8084. Okay, so now we have successfully changed the port, and let's save it and try rerunning it. So let's rerun this file. Click on run as Spring Boot app. Okay, now you can say that here Tomcat started on port 80 8084 HTTP with context path slash. Okay. So how can we check this? Good afternoon, Shruti. Very good afternoon. Okay. So how can we check this? Open your browser and type localhost, then colon 8084, then slash. Okay. So you can see this white level error page, but this is showing no error. I mean, this is an error page, but not any other error. This error is coming for server. That means our application is running successfully. Okay. So this says that this application has no explicit mapping for slash error. So you are seeing this a fallback. Okay. So why is this showing this? Because we have not defined any path. Okay. So how to define a path? We can just create a package. Let me close the XML, close the properties. Okay. So let's create another package that is okay, let's just create a class. So let's create a class that is, let me set it as controller, my controller, and just click on finish. So now we created a class named my controller. Okay, then I will have a method that is public. So sorry, public string. As it will return a string, the method name is so, and it will return hello. Okay, this is returning hello. So now what to do? I want to map this whenever someone request on slash. I want to map this with this function. Whenever someone requests the slash, then this function shall be called. How to do it? At first, I have to make this a controller. Okay. So first, I have to make this a controller. So how can I make this a controller? By using the annotations. So there is an annotation of controller. Okay, so using the annotation. So let's import the annotation using Control Shift O, and let's import the annotation. Then we can use the get mapping at direct get mapping, then the URL star and import the get mapping. Okay, so this is all we have to do for get mapping. Now let's see what is the error. Okay, so you can see that the error is still there. Why? Because this is type is equal to not found. Okay, so this is telling that as it is a controller, when you are using get mapping slash, this method is being called for no for sure. Okay, let me show you why this method is calling or not. Let me just print something. System.out.print method called. Okay, so let's see if the method is called or not. So let's refresh. Okay, let's restart, as we have to restart it every time. Okay, so let's restart. Now open this and click on refresh. Okay, so nothing change happened here, but in the console you can see that we have this method called, method called, method called 3 times as I refresh the page 3 times. Okay, so this method is being called indeed, but why are we still showing the error? Okay, why are we still seeing the error? Because whenever a class is annotated as a controller, every method returns a name of a file. Okay, so whenever I am returning here hello, the compiler or the Spring will search here for a file that is named after hello. Okay, so let me create inside the templates. Let's create a HTML. Where is HTML? Okay, which we have to create file, then write as hello.html, then click on finish. Okay, so is this the way? Let's check it. Doc type, then HTML, then head, then title. Title is, let's say, Spring app. Then we have body. Then inside, let's say h1 hello. Okay, so this is our hello.html. So let's check if this is working or not. Let's restart it once again. Okay, it is running successfully here. Tomcat started on port 8084. We can see here. Now let's refresh the page and check. So now nothing is working as well. Not this. Okay, why this is not working? Because I think we have to write here hello.html. So now let's check this if it is working or not. Restart this. We have to write the full name maybe. Okay, it started. Now we can refresh. Okay, the same error. So why are we getting the error? It is get mapping slash and this is being called hello.html. Okay, let me put it inside the web. Okay, so let's put it inside source. Then it should be inside templates, I think. Okay, let me check one time. The controller, let's check from here. In my previous projects, where was they? Inside resources, there are database of properties. Inside Java, no. I think I have deleted them. Okay, not here. Here, resources, no templates. Inside source. Okay, so let us create a web app inside source. Create new. What did I do? Okay, click on source, click on new. Then we can create a folder, name it as web app, like this maybe. No, like this, like we saw in the NetBeans. Then we can create here a folder web-inf. Then let us try putting it here. It should call or we are okay. Are we using the slash? Should we use the slash? Okay, let's check. Are you forgetting the slash here? Or is this context part is slash, no? Or is this the name is what? Octanet Spring Java, okay. Slash Octanet Spring Java slash. Okay, so this is the same thing. Why are you still getting the error? There should be no error. Hello.html. The return should be like this. Get mapping star. Controller this is. Okay, there will be no inheritance. Okay, so the method is here being called, but we cannot see the file for some purposes. Okay, let it be. Okay, okay, so let the error be and leave this for the time. Okay, so what if we don't want to return the page, but we want to return the file only, or return the data only. So we can do this by using the REST controller. So try REST controller and import this. Now, if I go to star, I should return the message that is hello. Okay, so let's run the file and let's try printing hello. Let's close everything else and just refresh. We are hitting slash. Okay, now we can see that we are getting the data that is hello. Okay, so to return only data, we can use the REST controller. Okay, so there is one more way to see this using the Postman API. Okay, instead using the browser, we can use the Postman API. That is, you can download the Postman API from here. You can search for Postman API or the Postman software. Here it was. So you can click on Postman and you can download for desktop. Here is the button. You can download it for desktop. And after downloading it, you can open it like this. Postman is a very good IDE to check for the all HTTP methods. So let's just sign in. sign in this with your Google account. Back to sign in. I think something is error this. Sign in with Google. Okay, it will take a lot of time, so let's just skip it. Open it manually. Okay, is it mandatory to sign in? Is it mandatory to sign in? Next, let me pass key. Okay, so now Postman is open. Okay, so now here you can see the Postman. We are getting started. So let's confirm the cookies. And where is our Postman? This is the workspace. Is my internet slow? My workspace. Click on this. Okay, now you can see the Postman. Click on the plus button. Let's close the overview. Click on the plus, and then we will get a new request. Here we have to paste the URL. Okay, so that is localhost, and then the method is a get method. As we know, in HTTP we have various kind of methods in the REST protocol. That is get, push, post, put, patch, and delete. So normally we will learn about get, post, put, and delete methods. Okay, so now send the request. Uh, when testing an API locally, you need to use Postman desktop agent. Okay, so desktop agent, why it is not working? Okay, so desktop agent open. Why is it again asking for sign in? I don't want to sign in for now. Okay, so now you can see localhost colon 8084 slash the method is get. Then we can send the request, and now you can see that the output is hello here. Okay, so that is how we can get the data from any server. Whenever using any Android application or any website, we can create a server using the REST controller to send only data. So the data can be in JSON format or can be in XML format. Okay, so like getting data, can we push the data? Yes, we can push the data. So how to post the data? Using the post mapping. So we can use another method, public, and this is a string, then get data, let it be a method, and we can just use post mapping at post mapping. Let's import it, and we can return the data. So how to return the data? We can direct right here request at the rate request. It's it request body. Yes, it is request body. So let's import this. Request body is written like this, or why is it? It should be request body, I think. Okay, is it request param? Request param string name. Then we can return name, or using the void, we can just print it. Okay, now the request param has been imported. So now we can try printing the name from the output. Okay, so now let's go to Postman, or before that, let's just restart it again. So now we can send data from client to server. How to send data? The post mapping. Let's see the post mapping. We have forgotten the URL. So the URL is slash send. Okay, so this will be our URL. So let's restart it again. Now we can open the Postman and go to /send and change the method to post. Then we can send our data in the body. How can we send the data? Using the raw maybe and using form encoded like this also. So the key is name. As we keep the string name, then the value is suppose Shruti. Okay. So let's try sending it. There is no output and we can see the status 200. Okay. And inside this string, we can see that the Shruti is being printed in the console because we get the data from the client here and we print inside the console. Okay. So that is how we send data from client to server. Okay. So this is the get mapping and post mapping. Okay. So now there is one more thing that is called dependency injection inside Spring. Okay. So what does dependency injection mean? Dependency injection means so that we don't have to create the object ourselves of any classes. Spring will create the objects automatically and it will handle the cycle of the objects. So if we have to create the object, then we also have to close it or destroy it to manage the object lifecycle. But here, Spring can automatically manage the object lifecycle. Okay, so how Spring does it? There are three types of ways. Okay, the first one is field injection, then the second one is setter injection, the third one is constructor injection. Okay, so how to do it? Let me create another class, that is class. Okay, so let it be, this class name is util. So this is a util class. Okay, so now this util class has a method public void print. Okay, so this print, this will print system dot out dot print and called. Okay, this much. So this is a class. Okay, so now how can we do it? We can do it by simply making this class a component of Spring. Okay, so how to make the class a component? Simple, using the annotations again. So you can use the component annotation and let's import it. So that's it. Okay, so you can use the component annotation to create a component inside a Spring. So how to use it? So inside another class, we can use it by creating and not an object, but telling we need the object. So how can I tell this? We have three types of injection. The first one is field injection, that is automatic injection. So we have to declare util obj is equals to new util. So this is the default like which we create the object of any class, but we don't have to write like this. We can simply just write util obj. So now how Spring will inject the dependency by using the annotation AutoWire. Let's import it and now it is AutoWire. So now we can do this whenever we are printing. So we can return, or before return we can type obj dot here we will get a void, that is print. Okay. Okay, so whenever someone hits, let's restart this. Now whenever someone hit on this URL, that is get mapping slash, let me click here and change the URL, then go to get and click on send. So we get the output hello here, and inside the console you can see that I am called. Okay, this I am called came from the obj.print method and which is initialized by the Spring field injection. Okay, so this is called field injection. Okay, now there are two type more injection, that is setter injection and constructor injection. So what is setter injection? The setter injection is like this: public, not this, public. Then we have a setter. So this is a void, public void. Then set obj is a setter. Then it will take a util. So this is util obj. Then this dot obj is equals to obj. Okay. So this is called setter injection, and we can write AutoWire here. Okay. So this is called setter injection. Okay. So this time I am removing this method call from here, and we will print only from the util class. Okay, let's restart and try printing this. Okay, go to postman, send the request again, got the output hello, and here also we got in the console I am called. Okay, so this is called as setter injection. We don't have to manage its life cycle, it is managed by the Spring. Okay, so now what is constructor injection? By injecting using the constructor. Okay, so let's create a constructor, public my controller. Then here we will have util obj. Then this dot obj is equals to obj. So this is called constructor injection. Okay, so we don't need over auto-add here as we are already injecting by constructor. Okay, so this is up to auto-add. Okay, so just like I told you, to create the object automatically by Spring, we need a annotation that is component to make this class a component of the Spring. Okay, we have more annotations like service and repository. Okay, so before coming to service and repository, let's come to Hibernate. Okay, so what is Hibernate? Hibernate is an ORM framework. Now, what is ORM? ORM stands for Object Relational Mapping. Okay, ORM stands for Object Relational Mapping. Sir, can you explain microservices architecture? Okay, Neeraj Sharma, microservices simply means dividing your projects into small services. Okay, so consider you are making an application for a quiz test. Okay, so the application will have various roles that audible. Okay, so another task is to evaluate the answer sheet. Another task is to take the input from the users and declare the result. Okay, so there are various tasks. Dividing these tasks and making each project of each task is called microservices. Okay, so you will create a server for only for question. So someone will call your server to have the question, and someone will call another server to evaluate the answer set. Okay, that is called microservices. Okay, so in a single or singleton system or a monolithic system, everything is combined within a single server. But in microservices, we make different server. Your voice is breaking. I'm sorry, Niraj, I am not actually at my place. So that is why my voice is breaking. The internet is not good here. Okay, I'm trying my best to make my voice reach you. Okay, so if you are clear, Neeraj, then we continue with Hibernate? Okay, so let's continue with Hibernate. So I was telling that Hibernate is an ORM framework. So what is ORM? ORM stands for Object Relational Mapping. Okay, can you explain with diagram? Okay, Neeraj, I don't think I have a special luxury to create the diagram here. Okay, I don't have any software for diagram. I'm sorry, Neeraj, I don't have any software for diagram. So I will explain you in other way. Okay, let me first clear all this because I don't have time to complete this, and today is the last class of this session. So I have to complete this. I will explain in the next class if we have, because microservices are not in the syllabus for now. We are coming up to the Spring Boot and Hibernate only. Okay, so let's continue with Hibernate for now. Okay, so Hibernate is a object relational mapping framework that maps the classes of Java to database tables. Okay, so let me create a class. Inside a class, let me name this class as student. It is a class named student. Okay, so what should a student have? A student have a ID that is private int ID. Then what else does a student have? A student also has a name, private string name. Then a student has a roll number that is private int roll number. Okay, am I clear? Okay, so let me also create a table inside MySQL. Okay, so where is MySQL? Let's open it. Put the password. Then, okay, I think I have entered wrong password. Okay, so use tenet create table std with name, and the name is varchar. Okay, first is the ID that is int, then name is varchar20, then we have roll number that is also int. Okay, so here is the error. Create table std, the manual corresponds to version. Now for write near std, create table std. Where is the error? ID int, name varchar20, role int at line 1. Is there an error, guys? Can you spot it? Is there a data type error? ID int. Okay, let me type it number, roll number. Still we have the error. Why? Is there a bracket issue? Open bracket, then close bracket. Okay, if I type SID, still it has the error. Okay, let's try. So tables. We have only two tables. Create table std using ID int name varchar, then role int. Debil Mohanty, hi Debil. So can you tell me where is the error in this particular syntax? The table is not being created. I am not finding an error. Is the syntax wrong, guys? ID integer, name varchar, or don't I give the space here? I don't think that will matter. And this doesn't matter. Create table std4. It took std4 but not std. Why? Is std a keyword or std already exists? So tables. See, it took the word std4 but did not took std. That's strange. Change number to int. Oh, it is already int, Neeraj. So you can see that this is created using std4, but std was not created. There was some error using std. That's strange. Okay, so we are successfully created. So now we can relate that the class name is student here in the Java application. The class name here is student, and here in the SQL we have the table that is named as std. Okay, the table is named as std. So can we relate that this object relational mapping, how can we map the object with a table? Okay, so the class name is the same name as the table name. Then all the variables that are the non-static variables are the column names. Okay, so there are the fields of the table which are the non-static variables of the class. Then what are the records or the rows of the table? The number of objects we create of the class with valid data are the rows or records of the table in the SQL database. Okay, so let me show you how it is done. Before that, we will need some dependencies for our MySQL and Spring Boot Starter JPA. So let's go to a browser and click on Ambient repository. This is the Maven repository. So drop std4 table. Again, check. Okay, let's check as you wish. MySQL use Octanet. Let's drop the table std4. std4, I think it is okay. std4 query dropped. Let's create again the table. Create table std. Then the ID is integer. Then the name is varchar20, and again the role is integer. Okay, so now you can see that this is still showing the error. And if I change to std1, then it shows query is okay. So is std a keyword? That's why it is not taking. Okay, let's leave it. And now we can go to the Maven repository. So in the Maven repository, you can see that there are various repositories, various dependencies. So we can search for MySQL driver. Click on enter. So you can see here is the MySQL connector Java. Okay, this one has many usages. So we will go with this one. And now you can see that everything has a vulnerability. So let's go back and check for the upper one. I don't want any vulnerable. Okay, so there is no vulnerability here with this version. So we'll go with this version. Okay, so now scroll down and copy this. This is copied to clipboard. Very good. So now let's go to our form.xml file and within the dependency, let's paste it. Now we have successfully added the jar file for MySQL. Okay, we don't need the version number here as it will be managed by Spring. We can remove this. Okay, now we need one more thing, that is Spring Data JPA. So search for Spring Data JPA. Okay. So what is JPA? JPA stands for Java Persistence API. Okay. JPA stands for Java Persistence API. So there is not only Hibernate that is an ORM. We have more ORM tools, that is IBETIS and many other tools. So JPA is a standard format which is controlled, which is used to move from one Hibernate tool to another Hibernate tool. Okay. So we can copy this and let's paste it down here. Okay, now we have successfully pasted these two things we need. Okay, now let's save the file. Okay, so now we need some things to set in the properties. So open the resources and in application that property, we have to set some things. Okay, let it build. Okay, now if we try to run this again, let's run again and see what happens. Select resources to save, yes, save all. Okay, so now let's see what happens. It says Tomcat started on port 8084. Okay, that's very good. The Tomcat is started. Now we can create as this is a entity. What is an entity? Entity is a Hibernate annotation. Okay, entity marks a class as a database entity. Okay, so what is an entity? It marks a class as a database entity. Now, if this is an entity, now this is a ID. This is another annotation that will mark the database and that will mark this particular column as the primary key of the table. Okay, so this is entity and we have another annotation that is at the table to specify the table name. Okay, so the table name will be student. Okay, so why is it throwing the errors? Application properties, don't we have installed the Hibernate? Okay, use the form file. What is the error? Remove the version. Do we need to build it again? It should be built automatically. If we type on restart, proceed. Sir, std is a function in SQL, so that's why not created table. Oh, std is a function. I was thinking about that, so there was some mistake about std. Okay, very good, Neeraj, on checking. Okay, so it started successfully. Spring Data JPA, MySQL connector we have. Okay, so this should be okay. So why the student is throwing the error? Entity. Okay, let's create another package with Spring Starter project, and here we will insert everything now. Java 1, let the name be same. And here we will need Spring Data, MySQL driver, and Spring Web. These three things we will be needing: MySQL driver, Spring Data JPA, and Spring Web. Now let's click on finish. Okay, it is taking some time. Let me close this project. This project is being open. Let me close everything from here. Okay, everything has done here. Now we can see the form.xml. So here we can see we have the JPA. Oh, this is Spring Boot starter data JPA. We wrote the wrong file name there. That's why it was the mistake. Okay, so now we can try running the file and see what happens when we run the file. So right click here, click on run as Spring Boot app. So here you can see that application failed to start. Okay, failed to configure a data source URL. Attribute is not specified, and embedded data source could be configured. Okay, so this is telling us to configure the data source first. What is data source? It is related to database. Okay, so why it is throwing us the error? Because we are using the Spring Boot starter JPA dependency. Okay, so come to application.properties, and here let's first change the server dot port is equals to 8084 because my 880 is busy. Now we can set spring dot data source dot URL is equals to my URL. So what is my URL? My URL is jdbc colon mysql colon / localhost colon 3306 / my database is Octanet. Okay, so this is my data source. Then my username spring dot data source, not these all things, dot username is equal to it is root, then password spring dot data source dot password is equals to this. Okay, so we have successfully written all the credentials. Let's try to run this now. Run as Spring Boot app. Okay, so it is saying that port 8080 was already in use. Okay, did you forget to close the previous one? Okay, let's close the previous one. Let's stop everything. The port 8080 is already in use. Uh, let's close this project. Close this project. And okay, let's change this to 8085. Okay, now this will show no error. Now click on run as, where is it? Run as Spring Boot app. Save all, then run. Okay, now we can see there is no error and it is saying that Tomcat started on port 8085. Okay, so now let's create the class, or let me just import it from here. I can import it from here. There is my class student.java. Let me import it to here. Now I don't need this file anymore. Now in student.java, here in student.java, I can import these things. Okay, now I can import these things all. Okay, so you can see that this is showing no errors. Now I can run this. So if I run this now, let's see what happens. The name is student. Okay, let me check if there is a table name student exist or not. So tables. You can see that we have three tables: demo, std1, and user. So let's try running this file and run as Spring Boot app. Okay, this is showing us some error. com.spring.student has no identifier. Every entity must declare at least one. We have the identifier, I think. This is the ID. Error with being defined in class path. This entity has no identifier. Must declare init at least one ID or embed property. Okay, this is the ID I have defined already. So why is there any issue? Okay, I think this is not this ID. Okay, so this is ID belongs to persistence. That is why it showed the error. We imported the wrong ID annotation. Now let's restart it and check. Save the file. So now it should display no error. So now you can see that Tomcat started on 8085. Now let's check in the database. Click show table. Okay, there is no table is created because we have not created any object. So let's try creating an object. Okay, so in application, no, let's create another class here. Click on new and click on class. This is again my controller. And let's create the object of this class. This is a controller, REST controller. Import this. And for get mapping, this function will be called for get mapping. Public string data, let it be. Then import this. It will return hello. And in the meanwhile, we will create the object. How to create the object? By using let me use the field injection here, auto import it and use student std. Okay, so now here we can save std dot. Okay, there is one more thing. We have to also use the getters and setters. Okay, to use these three fields, as these three are private fields, we need getters and setters to use this file outside the class, as we have learned in encapsulation. So how can we create? We can click it by right clicking here, and here is the source. Inside the source, we have the option generate getters and setters. So select all, then we can click on generate. Okay, so here we can see that we have all the getters and setters of this class. Now this class is complete. Okay, so now what can we do? In the my controller, whenever the slash we can hit, we can create a student record, that is std dot set id, that is 0 or let it be 1. Then std dot set name, this is Neeraj. Then std dot set roll number, this is 1 2 3 4 5 6. Okay, so we have successfully created. Now how can we save this? We can save this directly using std dot save. Okay, so to save this file, we have to create a repository of this class. Okay, so std.save will not work directly. Okay, so what is repository? Remember when we talked about the DAO layer, when we are learning about the web structure. Okay, the repository is the same as the DAO layer. So how can we create a repository? We can just right click here and click not a class but an interface. Why? Because we are using Spring Boot. Everything will be given by Spring. We don't have to create anything by ourselves. So we can create the interface, and the name we can write student repo. Okay, then click on finish. This is a repository, and that's all. Okay, so we have to create the object of student repo, not student. Okay, so just like we have to create the object of student repo. So in the my controller, we have to also create the object of student repo. Then auto student repo, let it be as repo. Okay, everything clear, guys? Now we can do std save, not but repo dot save std. Okay, so now this is again throwing us error. Why? Because we have not configured the student repo to work for our student class. How can I do this? By using the JPA repository inheritance. Okay, so we can do this like extends JPA repository. Okay, and this will take two arguments. The first one is the class name, that is the table name, the student, and second one is the data type of the primary key, that is integer, not int. We can type integer. Okay, let's import the JPA repository, and that's all. Now we can see in the controller the save method is working. Okay, so now let's again check this. Let's run this file again. Okay, it is showing us some error. Could not be found. Okay, my controller could not be found. Okay, it is a REST controller, but this repo, this cannot auto-wire this because we have not tell the Spring that this is a component. So we can either type it as this is a component, or we have the special method for repositories that is @repository. This is an annotation for repository. Okay, by making this a repository, we can tell the Spring that this is a repository for our student class. Now let's try running it and see what is the error if therein comes. It is saying that a student in your configuration required is equal to 2. Injection as following annotations. Whatever is equal to student that could not be found. Field std in com required a bean type of student that could not be found. Okay, so let's check here what we have done. This is std. Std is of type student. Then we have set the ID, we have set the name, we have set the roll number. Then we are saving it inside our repository. So it is of type student. In the type student, we have ID, this, and roll number. So this is of type int. Let us make it integer. Then let us make it integer as everything need to be object. Now let's try if there is no error. Okay, we still have the same error. What does it say? Require a bean of type dot student that could not be found. Okay, it is strange. The repo, is there any mistake in repo? This is student. JP repository, this is student. Sir, service layer is missing. Yes, Neeraj Sharma, service layer is missing indeed, but we can also directly use the repository if you want. The service layer is for security, and now we are just trying to save the file into the database directly using the repository layer. It is not mandatory that is we use the service layer, but we can do it in any way. So why is this showing the error? We do not have to write anything inside this. This is a repository indeed. This extends JPA repository. The first one will take student, or it is student.class maybe. No, this is not student.class. This is student indeed. Okay, integer. If I type just int here, okay, there is the mistake. So we have to type integer. So where is the mistake then? We are getting with get mapping. We are creating the student object that is std. The student is an entity, so it should create the object. Okay, so let's create the object ourselves as it is throwing the error. Is equals to new student. As it is throwing the error, let's create the object ourselves. Okay, let's restart the file. Okay, now we can see this has no error. Tomcat started on port 8085. Okay, so now we don't have any error. Okay, I think as NTD is an annotation of a Hypernet, not Spring, and it is not a component. This is not a component. That is why the auto-wire or the field injection is not working. Okay, so we have to manually define the object for student. But since repository is annotated as repository, it is being treated as a component of the Spring. Okay, so that was the issue. Now we can check if we have the table or not. So let's check. So you can see there we still don't have the table. So why? Because we have not hit the slash yet. Okay. So let's go to Postman and click on send. Let's check the port to 8085. Click on send. Okay. So here we have status code internal error. Why we have internal error? Let's check the server. That is a long error. Okay, it is telling that JDBC exception executing SQL octanet the student doesn't exist. Okay, so this is saying that the table does not exist, but we want Spring to create the table in case the table doesn't exist. Okay, so what we can do here, we have to do some more configuration in application.properties. Okay, So here we configured our URL, username, and password. Okay, but there is one more thing, that is spring dot jpa dot hibernate dot dll auto. Okay, so this has many options, that is create, drop, update, anything. Okay, so if we write on create, now this create means create the table or data every time even exist or not. Okay, so it doesn't matter the table exists or not, it will create every time. Now we can see we have the table student. See, we can see here we have the table student. Instead of doing anything, we have the table student. And now let's check if we have any data inside student or not. Select start from student. Okay, so you can see that this is an empty set. Now if I click on send, you can see we got the output then inside the student table, and we also got a deck record inside the student table, and nowhere we have written any of the SQL queries. Okay, am I clear, guys? Nowhere we have written the SQL queries. Okay, so what is the issue with create? Okay, so the issue with create is every time the application will restart, the table will on all the table will be created again and again. So let me show you. If I restart this again, and you can see the Tomcat started. So in SQL, let me again show you. So you can see that this is empty set again because the table is dropped and created again. So we can also check the queries that is being run by Hibernate by using spring.jpa.showSQL is equals to true. Okay. So now if I save this and rerun this, so you can see that I am rerunning this, and see, here you can see that the Hibernate first deleted the table if existed, and it created another new table for us. In these lines, you can see that it created another table. Okay. So what can we do? We can do, instead of creating, we can write here update. Okay. So what will update do? Update will create the table if not exist, but if the table exists, it will not drop it anyway. Okay. So now let's try restarting this. Okay. We want to save all. Now we have the table. Let's put the data inside and check. Now we have the data. Okay. So let's restart the application. Okay, we have successfully restarted the application. Now we can see the record is still here and the table is not dropped. And you can even see here inside here, whenever I click, okay, let me just insert in send. Okay, so here you can see the query, that is select this from student where the s1.0 id is equal to this. It is fetching and it is inserting. Okay, so we can see again. See, the data is existed. The data already exists because id is the primary key. That is why the record is not being duplicated. Okay. So how to insert into data? By using the user input. So we can do this very simply using the controller, or let me create the service layer as Neeraj said that everything should be come from the service layer. So let's create a new class, that is student service. Okay. And this is a service. So let's annotate it as service. Then we will have the various methods, that is public. First, we will put all the data, that is public void insert. Then we will have a body, that is student std. Then what will it do? It will create an object of student like this. Okay, the object is already have. It will have the repository object, that is student repo. Okay, now this is auto-wide. Okay, now what can we do? We can just repo.save std. Okay, so the data is inserted, and to update the data, we can do public void update, then the same student std and repo dot save. This is the same method. The name is only changed, std. Okay, now we can delete public void delete. Then we need the data, not the student. We just need the delete ID, that is int ID, and we can find repo dot. Do we have a function remove? Repo dot delete. Yes, we have a delete. So delete all by ID. We have delete all by ID, or we have delete student entity. Okay, so we can directly write the entity. Delete the entity. How can we find the entity? Let's find the entity. Student s is equals to repo dot find by ID, and the ID is ID. Then we can pass it as S. Okay. So what is the error? The error is that the repo dot find by ID will return a optional, not a student object. Okay. So we can write it as dot get. Now the error is gone and we can delete successfully. Okay. Now how to get all the data? To get all the data, we have the method public. There are various data, so we can use the list, public list of student, and that is insert, update, delete. So we can say get students. This is a method get students, and we can return repo dot find all. Okay, so we are returning all the students. Let's import the list. Okay, so now we have successfully created our service method, and now we can use our service method inside our controller. Okay, so inside of this repo, now we can use the service, student service. Okay, we have successfully used this. Now instead of repo.save, we can type service.save, not save but insert, because we have created the method as insert. Okay, so let's create another URL, that is @get mapping. We want a get mapping on a URL slash so it will show all the students, and the method is public. What should we return? We should return a list of students, and the method name is so. So let's import the list, then return service dot. What method do we have here? We have service dot get students method. Okay, so we can simply just do this and let's restart this file. Okay, there is no error. Let's come to Postman API and type slash so. Okay, so you can click on send. Now you can see here we got the first record, that is ID1, name is Neeraj, and roll number is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so now let's try updating the record. Okay, so to update record, we will use post mapping, as whenever the data is sent from client to server, it will be a post method. So post mapping, then it will be slash insert. Okay, so public void insert, then it will have the request body of type student, let it be std, and what will it do? It will just service dot insert the student. Okay, not here but here. Let's import this. So now everything is done. Now how to import this? Go to Postman. It was the URL, it was insert, not so but insert, then using the post method, and we can use, okay, let it be name, then the ID is 2, then roll number is, let it be 1472586. Okay, let it be So now let's click on send. It is saying that 404 not found, path insert. Okay, 8085 path insert is not found. Why? INSERT, we are using insert for post mapping. INSERT, this is INSERT. So what is the error then? We are using the post method. And what is the error here? There is no error. This is saying that path not found slash insert. Let me write it again. INSERT. Okay, do I have to restart it? Did I forget to restart it? Let me restart. Okay, let's try send. Unsupported media type error. So let's send it in the raw data. Okay, so in the raw data, in JSON format, the ID is 2, then name, this is 50, then roll number, the roll number is this, any random number. Okay, now let's try sending this in the body format. Unsupported media type. Why is saying that unsupported media type? Is the data getting added? No, the data is not getting added. Let's insert body raw ID, name, and roll number. What do we have here? ID, name, roll number. These are the same thing. ID, name, roll number. These are the same thing. So what are the issue then? We are getting a request body as type student. Can you explain get method, Neeraj? Which get method are you talking about, Neeraj? Is it this get method, or in the repository get method you are talking about? This repo.find all, or the get students method? Which method you are talking about, Neeraj? And service layer. Okay, in the service layer, here the repo.findAll is the findAll is a method of the repository that is created using the Spring repository annotation, and this findAll returns the list of all students. Okay, so it will return the list of all students to the user. Okay, because we are using the return type as list of the students, it will return the findAll method is in, it will return the all the records of the students using the find all method. Okay, if I have two records, let me show you. If I have two records, okay, why is the record is not inserting? Report.save std student std my controller post mapping. There is some issue, some path. Let it be a as, let it be slash a, and send the body. Let me refresh this again. Okay, it is started. Try sending it. Find by id dot get. Okay, this method. Okay, let me tell you. So where is this service layer? Find by id dot get method. Okay, so you can see this here. The find by id method returns a optional. Okay, so what is a optional? Optional is a Java class that will return null if there is no record, or it will return the record. Okay, so the get method is a method that converts the optional class to a particular uh, class for the table. Okay, so if this is a student table, if this is a student class, then the get method will return the student class particularly from the optional class. Okay, so if I remove the get method, you can see the error. You can see that change of type as to optional. Okay, so it returns a optional. So if we don't use the get method, we can write like this: optional of type student. Okay, so now we can import this, and the report.delete, we cannot delete the s because it is optional. So here again we have to click on s.get. Okay, so the optional class, from the optional class, when we have to get the particular class, we use the get method. Okay, or we have another method, that is roll number. Now let's try saving this. Still showing bad request. Why is it showing bad request? We're sending the data. Why is it showing bad request? It's not accepting the data. Request param and this should accept the data. Okay, guys, I think I will have to take a class tomorrow also to complete this session as the time is getting ready. We have